Doing? How are you doing today?
Why has the history of African peoples been erased? Well, we don't live in a fair world. Things aren't fair. You don't get equal opportunities. You get the opportunities that you create for yourself. And if someone gets in there first and they conquer you, they colonize you, they enslave you, they simply make your history disappear to make it look like they conquered, colonized, and enslaved nobodies. When people have a history, that makes you a somebody. So if you remove the history, you become a nobody. And so your history disappearing, nobody's lamenting the loss of that history.
Hey, how's it going, fam? Hope you're doing good. Today, I want to talk about what we don't really talk about because we don't know it. We very few of us have actually come across it, which is our homeland, the motherland. The mother of mankind, Alkebulan, which is now known as Afrika. So basically, Alkebulan is what is the oldest name that we can go back to, that the indigenous people of Africa actually called Africa. You know what I'm saying? So Alkebulan was actually was the original name for Africa, and Alkebulan basically means mother of mankind, or the Garden of Eden, as it is in your Bible. God created Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and we all know today that Africa is basically where the Homo sapien originated from, which is 100% human, originated from Alkebulan, which is Africa and Ethiopia. That's where we can find the oldest fossils of mankind, or Homo sapiens. So when the Romans took over some part of Africa, especially Egypt, when they took over Egypt, they started just renaming things. You know what I'm saying? Africa was not called Africa. Africa was called Alkebulan, which is actually an Arabic name, which Arabic comes from a Semitic language called Aramaic. So Alkebulan was the name, the Ethiopians called Africa. Remember, Ethiopia means land of the burnt faces, or land of the blacks. And the Moors called Africa Alkebulan too. Remember, the Moors are the so-called barbaric black Muslims that conquered Spain and Italy. And let's not forget, they brought education and civilization to Europe. So, which we're gonna talk about how we Africans have civilized the world, 3 times over, and we're still civilizing the world. You know what I'm saying? If you Google Alkebulan, there's actually a meaning behind, the name. Unlike what the Romans named, if you Google Africa, there's no meaning. It's just Africa. You see what I'm saying? So there's with everything our ancestors named, there is a meaning behind it. Like Kemet, for instance, land of the blacks. Everything that is indigenous to Africa, that the Africans named, there's a meaning behind it. So what the Romans did was they were trying to basically disconnect the indigenous people of Africa from, their heritage, their deities, their culture, their identity. You know what I'm saying? Because naming is really important. That's why when I see people naming their kids, especially black people that naming their kids after their enemies, I'm like, this clearly is the miseducation and the diseducation of the black man. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm fighting with you and you're clearly my enemy and you trying to hurt me, I'm not gonna name anything of mine after you. You know what I'm saying? But we're in the society where our minds has been like basically taken away from what is happening right now, what happened in the past. You know what I'm saying? We don't know our history, we don't know ourselves. So how are we gonna do anything to benefit ourselves? You know what I'm saying? And the map of Africa, or the map of the original map of the world was actually upside down with the south facing up. But when the Eurasians, came into power, they wanted to put Europe on top. So they flipped it upside down. So that's the map we have today. Is the Eurasian version of the map. You see what I'm saying? So, which goes to tell you that everything is upside down today. You know what I'm saying? The morals, the societal standards, and whatnot. Which makes a lot of sense because if we were progressing, if we were going forward, the earth itself will let you know that we're going forward. But we're clearly not. That's why we're having all this weather issues, all this hunger problems, all this issues with the world today. Because we're really going backwards. We're not going forward. You know what I'm saying? We are like, our minds is all upside down. The world is doing what it's doing. For example, the Nile, if you look on the map, on today's map, the Nile River flows up. No, the Nile flows down. You know what I'm saying? Which the original map showed you, the Nile flows down. You know what I'm saying? So the world is still the world, but they've completely turned it upside down, where everything we're doing today is upside down. You know what I'm saying? So naming is really important. We have to start renaming everything back to its original name. Like the countries, for instance. Some countries were named by the Eurasians, and we got to rename. And we didn't have borders. We didn't have boundaries in Africa. They came without our permission and built boundaries for us in Africa. So you see what I'm saying? They completely turned it to favor them. You see what I'm saying?